been, taken. And it's interesting to wonder about these people and think how they pursue it and persevere.
You're listening to Weekend from BBC World Service. It's 11 minutes to the hour. Now have a listen to this.
Hitler massacred 3 million Jews. Now there is 3 million Dragados. And we happy to slaughter them. At least if Germany had Hitler, the Philippines would have, but we.
That was the voice of the Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte speaking back in 2016. It's also the opening scene of On President's Orders, a documentary that explores Mr. Duterte's war on drugs. The 3-year campaign by the army and the police, which includes extrajudicial killings, has left, according to some figures, as many as 20,000, maybe more people dead. There's an investigation ongoing into the killings by the International Criminal Court in The Hague. On President's Orders takes the viewer to the heart of the battle in the capital, Manila's slums. Well, with me in the studio, it's two co-directors, James Jones and Olivier Samuel. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell us about the access you had, first of all, because clearly this is a very difficult and very risky story to tell. So how did you get to where you got?
So we, from the very beginning, we wanted to tell the story in a slightly different way. A lot of the coverage had focused on the kind of bodies that were ending up dead on the streets of Manila night after night. And we wanted to kind of get inside the head of the killers, understand who was doing the killing, how they could justify it. And we actually showed up there in October 2017, at a time when even President Duterte had to kind of pull the police back. It got so hot. It took 3,000 people. They've been caught on CCTV killing some teenagers. And we went to the absolute hotspot, Caloocan in Manila, and there was a new police chief there, Jamal Moraquillo, and we were just very lucky, really, that he was such an attention seeker, and he kind of allowed his ego and vanity to get the better of him, so loved the idea we'd come halfway across the world to make a film about him.
Tell us more about that, Olivier, that attention-seeking element that meant that you were able to see and hear things that you perhaps weren't expecting to see or hear.
Yeah, definitely, and I want to come back briefly first about the access. We never had any authorization from the Filipino government, from the police, to film their men. So it took us a while, it took us time really to win the trust of the police officers.
I mean, Moraquillo, and in fact lots of his kind of juniors, I mean, Moraquillo is kind of a mini Duterte in a way. The way he talks about women, the way he talks about criminals as being kind of less than human. He's like an embodiment of Duterte's propaganda, which has kind of dehumanized this huge section of society.
You tried, correct me if I'm wrong, to go into this with a relatively open mind. How open can your mind realistically be when you know what's happened?
Yeah, I think it's difficult because we see ourselves as journalists and filmmakers, not activists. But obviously we were drawn to the subject because it seemed like this great injustice. Thousands of people were being killed, seemingly with impunity. Had Jamal Moraquillo turned out to be this kind of new sheriff in town, clean broom, and the killing had stopped, the film would have been, a story of reform. What it turned out to be was that they made these great promises and actually the killing went underground. It wasn't police in uniform so much, it was kind of off-duty police officers on motorbikes, they call it riding in tandem. You ride up to someone who's on the drugs watch list, execute them, sometimes in broad daylight. So and now that the film has come out and it's, quite damning, some of the police's words and actions, we're happy for activists to use it, but certainly our initial approach and the way we present the film, hopefully it doesn't come across that we have an agenda.
I might put you what the President said about it in a moment, but let me bring other thoughts in. Eric.
I used to live in Bangkok, and there was a smaller scale war on drugs when I was there in the early 2000s. What struck me back then was it was a very popular move, mostly for most of the public were saying, great, those are drug dealers, they don't deserve much. My question to you is, given the scale of what happened in the Philippines, how does it play with normal people? Do they support Duterte on that?
I mean, it's quite shocking. They really did. Up to 3/4 of Filipinos support Duterte and the war on drugs, which, given the scale of the killing, as you mentioned, 20,000 by some estimates, it's quite extraordinary. But it shows how effective that propaganda was. It's another reason we were drawn to tell the story was that it was, part of this wave of kind of right-wing populist leaders who creates a kind of scapegoat within society. In this instance, it happens to be drugs.
Does it also not show, though, the scale of the problem that people felt had not been tackled before?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly something in that. And when you speak to Filipinos, they would say, drug usage has gone down. You don't see drug users on the streets, and that may be that it's just behind closed doors now because people are so afraid. But if you look at the statistics, and these are debatable, but the drug of use there, the drug they use is shabu, which is meth, and actually the usage of meth in the Philippines is lower than Australia, lower than America. So it's not a kind of narco state out of control, but his election campaign, they very cleverly put all problems, all crime onto drugs, so it seemed to be the root of all evil.
Let me bring Noga in as well with a thought from Jerusalem.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. Duterte actually came to Israel on an official visit last year in 2018, and it's shocking when you listen to the first scene we heard. Duterte is famous for comparing himself positively to Hitler, if we remember, and it's interesting because the way he's used drugs to come to power. Netanyahu, who comes from a very different political system, has used the image of himself as an unparalleled diplomat for Israel to stay in power and as an electoral kind of motivator. And so you see him hanging out with people like Duterte and Jair Bolsonaro, this whole crew that the guys were just talking about, and he has tried to burnish his own image through them.
I wanted to ask Olivier about the reaction to this since it's been aired. What have people said to you both about it?
So the Duterte spokesman came out a couple of weeks ago and said, described it as black propaganda which reeks of malice, which kind of caused quite a stir in the Philippines, and it's made it kind of a lightning rod for criticism.
I can go further if you like.
Go on.
One-sided information bordering to black propaganda aimed at gullible foreign audiences who know little or zero knowledge about the Philippines.
So, I mean, my response to that would be that he came out and said that without having seen the film. He'd seen the trailer and read some of the reviews, which probably went further in their statements about the war on drugs than the film did. The film was actually constructed from Duterte's own statements and largely the words of the police themselves who were enforcing the drugs.
Is it still going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's the killing continues. Duterte, despite the ICC investigation and the UN Human Rights Council investigation, he stood up last week. He actually went to see one of his idols and said, despite the UN, I will carry on killing. So it's certainly he's at various moments had to pretend like he's reformed. He's he's Trumpian. He says things. It's hard to completely gauge what is real and what is just.
Has it given a wild card to the police to basically do their own law? So yes, they might have targeted some drug dealers, and we might think whatever we want to think about human rights on that. But have they also started basically developing a mafia-like activity because of it?
Yeah, I mean the drugs war can cover all sorts of people, so it can cover political enemies. Senator Leila de Lima is one of Duterte's biggest rivals, and she is in prison on drug trafficking charges, which is a kind of bitter irony. And so, lots of the genuine big drug importers and traffickers go untouched. People who end up dead are the poorest of the poor.
In extending there, gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed for coming in. The film is On the President's Orders. James Jones and Olivier Savin, its co-directors. You're listening to Weekend from the BBC World Service. The news is next.
BBC World Service, Katie Long brings us the last in our documentary series on unexpected journeys.
A detour, a different or less direct route to a place. La Cruz, Costa Rica. Here, thousands follow the Pan American Highway heading to Nicaragua, all in search of one thing, the great American dream.
Detours, the last cola in the desert, at bbcworldservice.com/documentaries. And at 8 GMT from our own correspondent with Pascal Harter.
It's a mostly volcanic archipelago, nearly 2,000 kilometres off the coast of Australia, where half the population lives without electricity.
So why are foreigners buying passports from the Pacific nation of Vanuatu? This is the BBC World Service, the world's radio station.
BBC World Service, it's 6 hours GMT. Welcome to Weekend with Julia Mouringer. Coming up, the United Nations calls for an end to the violence in Iraq, where nearly 100 people have been killed in protests. People in Tunisia head to the polls. How has the birthplace of the Arab Spring succeeded in holding free elections?
Everybody would like to have their hands on oil, and luckily in Tunisia we don't have oil, so we have less people to intervene in our internal affairs.
We'll go live to Tunis, also in the programme, loved by some, loathed by others.
What do Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, and Susan Sontag have in common? And the answer is not that we all have brown eyes. The answer, we all wish the destruction of America.
The life and work of Susan Sontag, one of America's most celebrated public intellectuals. That's all here on Weekend after the world news.
Two Sunday newspapers, he has appealed to the European Union to suggest that they make compromises in negotiations towards a withdrawal agreement. Ian Watson.
咁就千祈唔好用火燒牆雜草，香燭冥香要放喺鐵桶裏面燒。離開前要確保冇留低火種，咁火怪就冇。
哎呀！你知道唔知道有人掛住你？我想表白嘅，想約埋一班人出去玩嘅 group 度識嘅，即係你睇唔到佢樣啊，所以呢講句真係男定女都未。一齊睇個戲咁樣。係啊，睇戲咯。知有冇拖我手先？有嘅。
Parking mode off.
咁你試下咯，我哋咁樣算拍拖嘛？我想正式問你啊，你可唔可以做我嘅朋友啊？好啊。
叫咩名？介紹下先。
冇啊，咁我點名噶咯噃。着波點嗰個。
係。即刻睇下自己先，你唔知自己今日着咩衫嘅咩？
波點嗰個係邊個？好，你叫咩名啊？劉卓賢係咪啊？
有冇英文名
啊
？Dorothy。
幾
多歲咧 ？Dorothy。
8歲。
你中意做啲咩㗎？畫
畫。哦，OK。
係你多數都係做坐低嘅嘢㗎啦，即係你會唔會做運動嗰啲㗎？
游水。
哦，又有嘅。咁游水同畫畫你邊樣中意啲咧？
畫畫。
因為係咪唔使喐咧？因為
又唔使流汗。
游水好辛苦係咪啊？
你游水係咪因為係參加嗰啲即係譬如泳會要訓練嗰啲啊？
係， 星期日就係咁遊，咁星期三就可以停下。
嚇
OK，
由星期日遊到星期三啊？
唔係星期日到星期三。
即係咁，你話星期三可以停下嘅？
佢嘅意思係星期三遊嗰陣時咧可以停，禮拜日遊就冇得
就唔準停嘅，係咪啊？
星期三有教練落水，星期日就要係咁遊。
哦，OK。
係咁遊嗰陣時咧係冇教練喺度嘅，總之你遊啦咁。
教練會喺
前邊，你係咁遊嘅。
Doris，你介唔介意問你一個大人知嘅問題咧？介意。
即係唔好問啊！你問我啊咁。
呢分啊，如果你係畫畫同游水有得揀咧，你游水嗰個會遊嘅咧，我就俾20蚊你。
係。
游水咧，
我會。我唔會啊，500我哋會考啊。
點會之後會揀？係。嗰陣時如果我哋游水禮拜日嗰個北海遊啊，我哋你唔得，咁你即係游上去，咁啊係1000蚊嘅。咁你會唔會揀游水定揀畫畫咧？
講埋。
如果游水每一個鐘頭50蚊，你畫畫每一個畫係20蚊。如果咁樣嘅話，你會揀邊個咧？游水畫畫？哦，OK。
我真係都有㗎。
都有㗎。咁我哋嘅80蚊一個畫，教俾200蚊嘅畫畫。畫畫。1000蚊一個堂咧？1000蚊一個堂咧？50蚊一幅畫，都係你咁你揀咩？但係你如果你游水有200蚊喎，一個禮拜日。
我覺得
你買唔到我啦，睇翻。你買唔到我出氣啊！我係中意畫畫多啲嘅。你畫啲咩嘢嘅咧咁？
我會有啲人即係畫
咁你畫咩？
海洋生物啊、蜻蜓啊、人啊。
咁你會用啲乜嘢顏料嚟畫嘅咧？
水彩、鉛筆、顏色筆。
即係各種都有嘅。
咁你畫得好唔好㗎？
不過我中意畫畫，因為咧我嗰套冇人畫出嚟，我覺得冇即係我冇咁中意即係中意。
哦，其實聽得出佢係我係想
中國真係有啲冇人睇起身，游水係呢個世界上最悶嘅運動。
佢我覺得
真係喎，你游水係永遠都係一個人，你冇理由兩個人拖住手喺度㗎嘛，拖唔到手㗎嚇。但係你都係自己游㗎嘛，即係你踢波都話叫做嚇，我傳個波俾你，你從自由嗰度互動啦，係咪先？但係游水你互動都係。
但我諗佢意思係即係譬如唔會有指住即係指示住你要點樣做法，你要游20個堂或者你唔準停咁樣。我諗佢畫畫嘅時候就冇呢一個問題咯。
冇人同你講話畫到蜻蜓咁樣咩？
老師畫畫之前，佢會話俾我聽畫咩，跟住就會畫一次俾我哋睇。
咁跟住你自己畫嘅時候就可以好隨心咁樣去畫啦。
咁我想問下咧，因為女仔咧係咪好中意運動？因為咧男仔就一定要有個運動啦嚇，有啲人就話。你覺得女仔係咪需唔需要學一個運動？需唔需要咧？需要。
其他同學仔咧，其他朋友仔，你哋有冇玩運動嘅？有。哦，即係而家冇分㗎啦，我諗冇分男仔女仔。
但係女仔可能唔係太中意運動嘅大部分，兩樣添啊。幾鬥多咯喎。
你可以講下啦，你叫做咩名啊
？Vienna。你好 Vienna，係咪 Vienna？哦。咁係點串啊
BRIANNA。
哦 BRIANNA。哦，你個 R 就唔知走咗去邊嘅。
飛咗啊！
哦 Vienna，我以為你係冇呢個 R 係 Brianna。唔係，都係 Vienna。哦，即係唔係你個 R，係 silent R 嚟嘅。
但係我哋要寫出嚟嗰個 R。
哦，真係人生嘅咁啊！
係啊。
OK，咁啊 Vienna，咁我想問下你咧，即係你中意玩咩運動啊？
我中意跳水同游水。
哦。同游水。哦。
8歲。
跳水同埋游水，你有冇啲好似即係多時咁樣就我都有啲靜嘅活動嘅，你
做有冇人理你咁樣咧？
係自己做得。
係咧。
因為我同朋友一齊上咗海邊。
哦，即係都係想同朋友一齊嘅。咁你咧聽到你講話佢學跳繩同埋一齊，仲要有表演添㗎喎，即係你已經表演過啦。
我表演過3次。
哇
OK。
係全部人一齊去嘅。
全部人。
咁你有冇自己獨立嘅表演嘅喺嗰個表演裏邊？即係定係所有動作都係同其他人一齊做㗎咁？
係所有動作同其他人一齊。
哦，你而家可以做到咩嘢嘅動作去表演㗎？
我可以交叉繩、單腳、開合跳。
開合跳開合跳又唔係交叉繩喎。我諗心目中嘅咁開合跳係咩嚟㗎？
開合跳咧係你跳嗰時，你隻腳咧會開同合咯。
即係擘大隻腳。
哇！好似好難喎呢個。
擘大隻腳嚟跳啊！
好難喎，打橫喎，係咪啊？擘大隻腳。
就呢個都係一個表演嘅動作嚟，我以為呢啲咧係細個哇，你自己玩下嗰陣時你就會咁樣做啫咁。
即係開住隻腳，好似即係
大
字咁樣跳嘅。
係擘大跟住。
擘大跳，細即係收翻埋跳咁樣。
係。
咁樣。
輪流咁樣。哇！開合跳呢個叫做。哦，仲有冇啊？開合跳仲有咩咧？
仲有交叉開。
哇！
交叉開。
即係隻手就要交叉，係咪？
係啊。
腳就要開。
唔係啊，係交叉一次，跟住第2轉跳咧就開翻啦。
哇，咁深！我想問下你學跳繩學咗幾耐咧？
我學咗2年啦，應該。
2年係咪啊？
我想問你最難嗰個動作係咩咧？你學咗2年。
跨1同跨2。
跨1跨2。
可唔可以解釋少少？跨1同埋跨2係咩嚟？
跨1咧係你咧要跳1次啦，跟住你個繩咧就去你隻腳下面，跟住你就要跳一下你先放到落去。不過跨2咧係咧你要跳一下，跟住咧
揈咗幾下？
揈咗1下或者2下，跟住腳下面又係好似跨1，跟住咧兩邊都係2咯。
即係繩放落嚟之前就要跳一下，繩一到又要跳一下，係咪意思啊？
係啊，因為你隻腳咧要上去，如果你跌咗落地你就跳。
咁其實係咪即係跳一下嘅時候，我已經揈咗2下咁啊？
唔係
喎，係你臨個圈掂到個地下，即係聽到咁講啦，就係你已經要跳，即係到條繩就嚟到嗰時候要跳，
即係得咁樣啊？
即係彈一下啦，即係你跳嚟緊，再跳咁樣咯。
咁佢嚟緊係應該跳㗎？
即係跳拍咁樣咯。
唔係正常嘅跳法咩？咁樣？
唔係啊，你跳一下，係科條繩到你要跳嗰下之前。
哦，就跳咗1下先。
係啦。
哦，明。即係可能已經有連續嘅2下跳嗱，不過只係有1下係有繩過嘅啫，有1下係冇繩過嘅。係啦。哇！咁深做乜嘢啊？係咪好難呢個？好難。
係啊。
最難，你做到未㗎咁？
我未做到。
未
你覺得我哋要解釋呢個而家聽，即係我哋啲係好辛苦啊！
都唔知咩嚟嘅你哋。
係咪即係點解要我講咁多次啫？
我想問有冇跨3、跨4咁樣㗎？冇嘅。
不過有2重。
2重
咧係你要揈一次繩咧，你要跳㗎嘛，你要跳2次咯。
係。
你就喺上面係你跳上去，你要留一陣先可以落翻去，因為
仲有1條繩要過嚟。
係你有2條繩，一定要揈2條繩，你要唔可以跳落嚟。如果你就唔得。
其實我都做到晒嗰啲你頭先講嗰啲。
坐喺度做？
我都做到嘅，不過我跳嗰條叫隱形繩。你有冇跳過啊？
我有。
你有跳過隱形繩啊？
喂，轉頭翻嚟解釋下介紹下隱形繩俾我聽下，因為新興嘅活動，睇下會唔會有家長衝住去學啦。
叱咤903以即時新聞、生活資訊與港鐵接軌，貫通地上地下，聯繫社區，關心你生活嘅每一程。
不管巨浪，哪怕窮途終於最新自己，才不枉費。
Smart 通超強勢網絡迎接5G。
2點半。
將人結合科技智慧，成就大家未來。Smart Home Make Us Smart。叱咤903新聞報導。
依家由黃柏薇報道新聞。大批市民響應網上號召，下晝分別喺港島同九龍區遊行。其中喺尖沙咀蘇士巴利花園集合嘅遊行人士，下晝大約2點走出彌敦道，向佐敦方向前進。唔少人身穿黑色衫，戴上口罩、面具或者用布蒙面，並高叫無面無罪、立法無理等口號。最新嘅情況交俾喺現場嘅陳曉瑩。
係啊，我而家嘅位置咧就喺彌敦道㗎。其實咧見到咧遊行嘅人士咧都係行咗出彌敦道嘅馬路啦，正係咧向住佐敦嘅方向咧係進發㗎。咁咧望翻咧，其實隔離處咧彌敦道去尖沙咀方向咧係仲有車行緊㗎。只不過咧遊行人士咧而家係佔據咗去佐敦方向嘅一啲行車線啦。咁咧亦都見到咧，其實咧有一啲嘅遊行人士咧都係喺隔離嘅去尖沙咀方向嘅行車線咧喺度喺車之間喺度穿梭咁樣㗎。咁咧其實咧佢哋嘅遊行隊伍咧係由2點開始咧就離開咗尖沙咀梳士巴利花園。咁咧有啲遊行人士咧就咧用一啲嘅鐵欄啦去築成路障，咁亦都係指揮交通咧就係咧啲遊行人士咧就係行